Hello everyone and welcome back to the Journey Tales. I am Anna and today I am going to share about myself and a little bit about my mental health journey. A few days ago I was talking about agoraphobia, which is a mental health disorder regarding anxiety on my Instagram feed, and a lot of people said that they would like to hear a little bit about my struggle with it so that all the things that I talk about the disorder could be more relatable, I guess. And so I decided to share a little bit about my journey through agoraphobia. So when I was 6 years old, I almost died, and I have asthma, I'm asthmatic, and I got really sick. And so we went to our urgent care facility and they decided to keep me in because I had really high fevers and I could barely breathe. Little did I know that a whole thing would start that day. So I was admitted in the hospital, and I honestly remember being in urgent care, and after that I remember waking up from my coma. So I was in a coma for 15 days, and I had a really bad pneumonia, and I had a tube down my throat because I couldn't breathe. And yes, I almost died. The day that I woke up from this coma, and that they were able to take the tube out my throat, then I was really weak and I really didn't understand where I was or what was going on. I was very little. I was 6 years old, and so I didn't really understand what was going on. And a nurse came in, and I didn't see anybody I knew. And she grabbed me, and I'm sure that she didn't mean any harm with it, but she grabbed me really forcefully and made me sit up, which is probably something they have to do. And looking back, I understand that she was not trying to hurt me, but for me, it was very traumatic because immediately my head started spinning. I couldn't breathe. I remember grabbing her hand really strongly, and she said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I couldn't even say anything. I was just so darn scared. And I remember everything was going around my head was spinning, and I couldn't breathe, and I felt this huge pain in my chest, like something was on top of me, and I couldn't feel. I felt my fingers and my toes like numb, and my upper lip was numb as well. And since I was in the hospital, they thought that it was something in regards to what I was going through. This story is important because after that, I became this nervous child that would avoid certain things, very irrational things, just because I was afraid of having that experience that I had, which was a panic attack, which I did not understand at the time, and I couldn't put a name on it after many years later. And so I went to school, I did many things. We had to travel a lot, my family traveled a lot, and I was always scared of everything. If it rained, I was scared. If it was very dark outside, I was scared. If I had to go to the hairdressers to get a haircut, I was really jittery and scared there. I didn't like heights. I didn't like running because my heart will go really fast, and then I thought that something wrong was going to happen to me all the time. Then I grew up and puberty hits, which is, awkward and fun and all the things in between those two. And when I was 13, I didn't understand all the process of changing and developing and of growing up, and I started feeling very awkward around my classmates. I was different in many ways. I was not only different in the sense of I was nervous about things. I didn't like to go to school trips. I didn't like to go to birthday parties because too much people would just upset me and make me really nervous. And so one day I just couldn't get out of my house without having a panic attack. And from the age of 13 to 17, 18, my agoraphobia got worse and worse and worse until I actually couldn't get out of my house. It all started when I started avoiding going to birthday parties or to the movies or to school in general. There were many years and many days where I just woke up and I literally could not get out of my room. My dad or my mom would have to bring food inside my room so that I could eat, and going to the bathroom was a problem because I didn't want to get out of that place. That was my safety zone and also my jail. I felt I was missing out on life, and for all those years I thought my life would end in those four walls, not but because of me trying to do something to myself or harm myself, but because I honestly couldn't do anything that normal people do. And so I remember my father, when through all of this I was going to therapy, or my therapist came to my house because I couldn't go to their office, or it was phone session. So my father would drive me to school. He would take me inside my classroom and see that I sat on my desk, and I would stay there for 8 hours until he could come back and pick me up and we could go home. So the 8 hours that he had to be at work, I was in that exact same place and wouldn't go out on recess. Or if I did, I had a panic attack, and my classmates were always baffled by what was going on. They didn't understand, and so they said that they used to say that I was making it up, that it was just me screaming or me making myself sick. And I honestly, looking back, I don't think I understood it either until I hit 17, and the therapist that I was with all those years was wonderful and helped me in so many ways. I was able to get out of my room to go to school, even though in my school I had to stay for like 8 hours in the classroom. And getting out of the house to get to the school was really hard, and going back as well. And when I was 18, I read the internet was starting. And so I read many articles of people that were going through the same thing. And I read that there was medication for it, and that there were alternative therapies that could help. And I decided to leave the therapist that I was with and go to a therapist that specialized in the type of disorder that I had, and also go to a psychiatrist who gave me medication. He gave me an antidepressant, and my therapist did CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Through that, in 3 weeks, I was able to get out of my house without panic attacks. And I was so very grateful that I did CBT and that I finally accepted medication. Before that, I remember thinking, well, if I need medication to be myself, then something is really wrong with me. And what if I get addicted to it? What if I cannot have a normal life because it brings all these other things? The what if, right? Of this anxious brain of mine. And in the end, they hit with the right course of action and a plan to get me out of my house. I was able to apply to go to college and university, and I became a psychologist because I wanted to help people that went through the same thing as me. Now I am 35, and even though I had agoraphobia and panic attack disorder and depression, which if you want to know more about those struggles, please leave a comment down below and I will be glad. I still struggle with certain things, but agoraphobia is not one of them. I am able to travel around the world. I'm able to go into an airplane, see friends that I hadn't seen in a while. I am able to walk in a park, to go to work, and not even worry about a panic attack in those situations. So recovery is real, recovery is possible. It's a long journey. It took me 10 years to be able to say that I was completely fine with it. I still take medication, although it's not the same amount I took back then. And I'm not going to therapy unless I feel that something's going on, then I go. But right now, empowered and feeling very well, very happy where I'm at. If anything, my story, I wanted to share it because if you're one of those that thinks that you're alone and that your jail, your house has become your jail, and that you have to plan your life according to that, as I did when I was 17, thinking, what am I going to study if I cannot get out? Believe me, that is just a lie. It's just your illness speaking, and I would like to encourage you to seek out for help and reach out. Take a leap of faith, either with medication or therapy or both, because in my case they were really effective. Or if you think that alternative therapies could help, to go for it. It's better to do something and take control of what's going on with you than to let this illness take control of your life, and it would plan it for you instead of you planning for yourself. All right, that was a little bit about my story. I hope this is educational or encouraging to anyone. If you want to know more about mental health and mental illness or my story, click subscribe. Go to Facebook and give us a like. Go to Instagram and follow us there. Go to our website, send us an email, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.